I just found myself actually preparing for the war that may or may not happen in the foreseen future. It's hard to describe. I'm from Ukraine, Dnipro, about 200 kilometers from the war zone that's already there for 8 years, and we all here kind of used to the Russian baked shit that happening in the east. However, now everything seems different. I'm genuinely sure that they'll try to cut the whole country in half. This situation hits something deep inside. I lost all my friends. All I have is my wonderful sister and grumpy mother. I've never been in an actual fight. I'm just a random copywriter who just lives his life, smokes weed, plays bass, doing dojo and trying to find his second half. Next week I'm going to join the army and soon I'll be dead or become a murderer in order to protect my wonderful sister and my grumpy mother for no reason. Or maybe not. Edit. Sigh. Here we go. They're here. 3 hours driving from our house. I mean actual house. Edit 2,232,022. No, I'm not in the army. I decided to join volunteer paramedic courses. Thousands of people here helped me to switch toward this direction as well. Thank you all for such warm words. It's hard to keep your head cold these days, Nomzain. My family shows no will to move from our town, so am I. On February 22nd, Russian troops invaded Ukraine from the Eastern Front. After that we have a lot of reports about pinpoint artillery skirmishes from their side. However, I don't trust anything I see on the web. Hybrid war is based on misinformation, so I have to take this into account. On February 23rd, Ukrainian government's planning to legalize firearms and declare a state of emergency. The most hilarious part is that we are still on a visa-free regime with Russia. There's no military response or clashes from the Ukrainian side so far. Is it possible to keep you guys in touch via this thread with editing? Or should I simply make new posts? Or a sub? I've never done such threads before. For those who think that I'm a bot, I will not show any personal credentials to strangers. I'm not 5 years old. Edit February 24th, Kyiv, Odessa, Dnipro, Kharkiv are under attack. We put down 2 Russians aircrafts. It's 8 am. Edit Feb 24, 11:21 am we put down 4 tanks and 6 aircraft. Russians pushing tanks from south and east, actual combat begins. Edit Feb 24, 13:24 pm some say Kherson's fallen. 300k citizens large. Dnipro's quiet. Kyiv is under pressure. Odessa is under pressure. Edit Feb 25, 11:09 am I'm with a volunteer HQ right now. Donated blood already. Filling supplies. Driving people around. Speaking of the war, they're focusing on Kyiv heavily, bombing civilian buildings. Few hospitals were also destroyed. These fucking apes also took Chernobyl's atomic station last night, so we may see the actual apocalypse, which I guess may also touch Europe heavily. Guys from EU, I'd recommend you to refresh your memory in terms of radiation civilian protection instructions. Russia broke so many humanistic laws it's indescribable. On the south, we have heavy clashes for 16 hours at this point. Kharkiv stands still. Dnipro, my town, extremely mobilized and rushed into hot areas. Edit February 28th I'm volunteering 247, constantly rushing between shelters and buying medicine for wounded. Thank God for cryptocurrency. Depression and sleep deprivation. We'll go on trenches tomorrow. I'm on territorial defense waiting list, enormous number of volunteers. Russians bombing citizens, 15 dead children so far. Today each Ukrainian is brother and sister. A lot of traitors in high command. Special forces working on them pretty rough. I have no energy. 2 days without sleep on CrossFit regime. Fuck war. They switched towards airstrikes and artillery today. Mainly citizens. Because we're fucking grinding them on land clashes. Edit March 6th I was preparing for the war. But how can one be prepared for genocide and nuclear terror? Thousands of civilians are slaughtered like livestock. I'm focusing on wounded in local hospital. Can you imagine the ambient sound of Bosch's triptych? This is life right now. It's fucking hell. Thank you all. If nuking Ukraine means save people from Europe and the US, guess it's a fair price. The West will not join the war. It's clear by now. We are alone here. Edit March 23rd things are sort of getting stabilized. We are slowly surrounding and boiling them in Kyiv outskirts. Mariupol is a tragedy. Can't say, but civilian casualties may be up to 10k plus there. Google Mizintsev, this sick fuck, is responsible for civil bombardment orders, as well as raping, looting, kidnapping, deporting civilians from Mariupol to fucking gulags. My town is under daily bombardments for 6 days. They are launching rockets from Crimea and Caspian Sea. Yesterday they dropped something big, as the report says 2 Ural size combined. That was loud. I left territorial defense forces, because we are basically protecting guys who protect a tree. Waste of time, money and resources. No trainings, mainly because it's too many of us wasting time. Now I'm personally focused on vests and helmet manufacturing. It's not possible to get this stuff from Europe. In Ukraine we are out of stock since day 2, so we said fuck it, we'll make our own. So we get 150 tons of armored steel. Already made 1000 good vests with dampers and plate carriers. Nom saying. A good friend of mine. He's drummer. We've played together for years. He lost his mother. 7-year sister lost her arm and leg. Father in coma. That was phosphorus bomb. Shelter didn't helped. My grandpa probably saved my life. A few months ago, my 16M mom, 33F, got arrested for possession. Basically, she had some coke in her car, and not the drink. Her testing didn't come back clean either. She'll be in jail for like 5 years. Because my mom obviously can't parent me anymore, I live with my grandpa, 73M. He's so much better than my mom. When I first moved in, he made me promise never to use cigarettes or alcohol near him because he used to be addicted to both and he doesn't want to relapse. I understand, so I don't. I used to sleep on the couch because my mom had the only mattress, but now I've got my own room. It used to be my uncle's, and my grandpa let me redecorate the entire thing. New paint, new rugs, new furniture. He even bought me some posters for movies and stuff I like. I moved schools too. My grades were shit before, and I was always getting into fights because I was always angry and didn't know what to do about it. My grades still kinda suck, but my grandpa is doing his best to help me. I've seen him reading some of my school book stuff to teach the material. He's really interested in biology, so sometimes we do that together, so we can both learn. It's one of my best subjects. My favorite is history, though. I always save it for last because it's fun. I like the wars and stuff, because strategies are fun. I don't fight as much either. Gramps set up a punching bag in the front yard that I can use instead, so there's really no point in using another person. I have a lot of new clothes too. Mom couldn't afford them before, probably because she spent all her money on coke and shit, but my grandpa owns a restaurant and has a ton of money. He actually got me a job there, since he owns it, but I only have to work when I want to. I like working there. Gets me some money too. He's super considerate too. I mentioned that I like orange juice and now we always have orange juice in the fridge. I like spaghetti, and now he makes it at least once a week. He caught me using an old Lego set my uncle left in my room, and then the next day, I came home from school, and there's a giant box of Legos on my bed. One time I got sick, nothing too bad, probably just a flu. He literally didn't let me do the dishes, even though it was my night. He kept bringing me water, and asking if I was okay, and he made me go to bed crazy early. He even tucked me in like some baby. But IDK, I guess it was kinda cool. My mom never did any of that, even when I was an actual baby. He's just a nice dude. There are some things I don't like about Gramps. Sometimes he forgets to ask before hugging me. He loves hugs. Sometimes he comes into my room without knocking. He snores like a tractor. He doesn't let me watch anything rated over PG-13 unless he's seen it before and thinks it's okay. And sometimes he vacuums at 2 AM because he can't sleep. I don't mind that shit though, because without him, I'd probably be on the street and end up like my mom. It's my birthday, and I'm all alone. I know it'll probably come off as Winnie, but I don't care. I just need to tell anyone. It's my 47th birthday, and I'm stuck in a hotel by myself 13 hours from home. I travel a lot, like a whole lot for my job, and I just spent a month in Florida. Now I'm in the middle of a road trip to another job for a week, before I get to go home. I haven't celebrated my birthday in any real capacity. Since I was a teen BC, no one really gave a shit, until I met my wife, who cares a lot. I don't know why, but I'm just sad and lonely this year. It's far from the first time I've spent a birthday away from home. It's just hitting me different this time for whatever reason. Sorry for whining about it. I just had to get it out. Thanks. Pedophilia is finding its way into the LGBTQ+ community. Serious sad. So now there's a new term called minor attracted people, shortened as MAP, that's being created, and it's found its way on social media. They created their own pride flag, turned out to be a troll, and pride symbols, and have been posting stuff saying some people are child lovers. Get over it, and love has no age. This is literally pedophiles trying to paint themselves as LGBTQ+, and trying to promote freaking acceptance of pedophilia. It's almost like a trap. Pedophiles should never be taken as a grain of salt. Pedophiles need help and therapy before shit hits the fan. Pedophiles need be freaking arrested and charged for the stuff they do. So be aware and spread the word. If you see someone on social media saying that they identify as a MAP and post the pride flag and pride symbols in posts like I mentioned, block them immediately. Tell other people to do the same and even report it so they can be caught and prevented. Pedophilia has nothing to do with LGBTQ+, and it has no freaking place in the community. It never should have. Update. Wow. This really blew up. Thanks guys. Wasn't expecting this. It's good to see you all coming together to voice your opinions and ideas on this matter. I actually learnt a lot from you guys. I would like to clarify a few things based on the replies I'm getting. 1. Don't take this as an attack on the LGBTQ+ community. I'm well aware that the community abhors these people trying to manipulate the public. This post was meant to kinda reach out to the community because I want them to be alert that people are abusing their community and agenda to fool the public and twist their views on them. So I'm sorry if I seem to word things wrong. That was never my intention. 2. I realize now that the pride flag was fake and was created by alt-right trolls. Thanks for the heads up. 3. I also understand that this may well be a hoax. It could be just people pretending for attention, and it may well be alt-right trolls from 4chan doing this to poke fun and attack the LGBTQ+ community. I don't think they should be ignored though. Even though they are getting attention, they do need to be reported and earn the punishment they deserve for making this bullshit and making fun of a serious issue. That behavior should never be tolerated. 4. Even if the maps apostrophe are fake, that doesn't mean that pedophiles trying to gain sympathy from the public doesn't exist. Many of you mentioned NAMBLA, and I'm appalled reading about them. At least people need to be aware of NAMBLA. 5. I see you all have different stances on pedophiles and have different ideas on how to handle them. I understand now that there is a difference between pedophiles and child molesters. Thanks to you guys pointing that out. All in all, pedophiles need the help they can get in order to prevent them becoming child molesters. The panic on the mention of someone being a pedophile does need to tone down, otherwise we will never be able to give them the help they need. 6. And lastly, I do see some of you jumping to the left. Bad idea. To those who are, you do realize that pedophilia is everywhere and doesn't apply to one group. Like the Catholic Church has a history of covering up child molestations. Does that make all Catholics pedophiles? And that's that. I wish I could reply to all of your comments, but that's clearly not possible. I never had a post that really blew up like this. Thanks again everyone and stay safe. I killed my fiance's cat yesterday. TLDR, he attacked me while I was changing his litter and either had a heart attack or broke something in the process of being removed. Fiance is heartbroken and I don't know what to do. My fiance had a cat before we started dating. When I moved in it was an adjustment for him. He'd occasionally scratch or bite me, but we started getting along okay. We ended up getting a kitten together after a few months. Not long after we brought the new kitten home, the old cat started being very aggressive and offensive towards me, either running into the office and biting me or running screaming into the corner when I entered the room. I didn't grow up around cats, so I didn't really know what to do. So I just tried to stay cool and not take it too personally. Last November I was doing dishes, and when I was going to put a pan away and saw him in the corner cabinet, which I was needing to access, I thought I could slip by him and put the pan away, and he actually wasn't screaming at me for once, so I stuck my hand in the cabinet. He bit into my hand and latched on and started shredding my arm with his back claws. I tried pulling him off, smacking his head, scruffing him, but nothing would get him to relax his grip. Eventually I had to smack my arm into the tile for what felt like forever, but was probably half a minute. He fell off and sat there in shock for 5 minutes. I ended up going to the hospital and needed a 2-week course of antibiotics. It took 2 months for the fingers on my right hand to work properly again. A few of them still hurt when I grip things. Now I don't hate cats, but like I said, I didn't grow up around them, and I'm not as enamored by them like a normal cat person would be. Needless to say, this incident was a very tough pill to swallow. I couldn't ask my fiance to get rid of her cat. He's very important to her, and I figured it was better I just be uncomfortable around him than ask her to give him up. And then it happened again. One day in December I went to grab something off the bottom row of the food shelf, not knowing that he was hiding down there. Same thing happened again. Cat attaches, fights as hard as he can to stay attached. My arm is shredded, and my hand swells up to damn near twice its size. This time he was hurt in the exchange. His lower jaw was broken. He's on cage rest for a month. Once he's out, he generally avoids me. He still makes noises and runs away whenever I enter the room. He still will swat at me if I walk by. My fiance is distraught at the situation, so we work together to try and get him to accept me. This last week it felt like it was finally paying off. 2 days ago he actually rubbed up against me and let me pet him. Mind you, it's because he wanted food, and he turned nasty again the second he got it, but it was so nice for the bit it lasted. And then yesterday happened. I was changing his litter and got down on one knee to mix in the deodorizer. He was behind me, and my one leg that went back must have shot towards him because he jumped on my leg and started the attack routine. It wasn't easy, but I managed to reach behind me and pull him off. I pinned him with my one hand on his upper back neck and went to stand up. When I relaxed my hold, he scampered into the kitchen, ending up in the cabinet again. I finished what I was doing and went to check on him. He wasn't moving in the cabinet. I went and got my bite-proof gloves and went to check on him. He didn't fight or struggle and he was barely moving. He went limp in my arms and died shortly after I pulled him out. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what I did. I never intended for it to happen. Yes, I was upset. It's been hard living with a pet attacking me at random, but I just wanted him off my leg. My fiancée is completely distraught. She's basically not talking to me, and I've been leaving her be as to not aggravate the situation. We have a good relationship. Our wedding is this month, and I'm afraid this might be the wedge that pulls us apart. I don't blame her for being upset, but I don't know what I could have done differently. I don't want people to think I'm a monster and I don't want to lose her. To whomever ends up reading this, thank you. I feel I have no one to talk to, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Edit. By old I mean older. The older cat was about 4. Also, I didn't break his jawbone, but the cartilage in his lower jaw split. I've seen some people blame my fiancée, but please, we were both trying to do the best we can in a difficult situation. I don't blame her, and I feel terrible about what happened. Edit 2. To those of you suggesting I abuse the cat, I understand why you'd be wary. Yes, after I had to go to the hospital I wasn't a fan of him. I tried to mostly avoid him. I would not have hurt him on purpose. I'm sure I could have been a better cohabitant with him. I'm sure he could pick up on my negativity around him, but I never would have gone out of my way to hurt him. For my sake, and for my fiancé's, I wanted him to be happy and comfortable around me. Edit 3. Also, he did not have front claws. Not my fiancé's choice. Landlord mandated at her old place, so his only option was bite and swipe with the back claws. And no, we aren't declawing the kitten. She would have moved the first time, but couldn't afford to break the lease. Her roommate, who declawed her own cat, threatened to tell the landlord if she didn't at least do the front claws. We are financially stable and our current landlord is fine with clawed cats, so the little one stays intact. Edit 4. Vet visits. He had a regular checkup in July. He obviously went to the vet in December, but they focused on the jaw. When we had behavior issues with the kitten, we did get her checked out, and they gave us gabapentin, which helped. We were planning on going to a behaviorist, but we're going to wait till after the wedding. Time crunch. The older cat got gabapentin as well, and my sister, a veterinarian, would check him out when he stayed with her or she visited. Yes, we should have gone immediately after the first incident. Not doing so was a mistake, but we spent most of the day in ER and urgent care. We tried stuff like for leeway, giving him plenty of places just for him, to the extent we could in an apartment this size. She would play with him and then switch off with me. If he got a special treat, I'd be the one to give it to him. Things were getting better and my heart breaks that this happened this way. I wish I would have just changed it when she was around, or made sure I knew where he was. Thank you for the kind words. To those of you who have thrown about accusations of malice and abuse, I understand, and I don't blame you for feeling the way you do. I assure you that the kitten is loved and will be taken care of. She and I get along splendidly, and she will not under any circumstances be declawed. While the hindsight comments obviously can't fix what happened, I definitely feel there's been some good constructive criticism, and if any behavioral issues arise, I assure you we will take it seriously and see a vet. Hopefully. Final edit. Both cats are here indoor only. If I see any more commonly asked questions, I'll try and answer them here. Update. Just heard back from animal control. Necropsy found no significant trauma past or present. We haven't seen the full report. The guy just called to let me know the necropsy was done, but it seems his heart gave out. We'll know more once a vet calls us, but I'm not imagining there will be much more to add. Thank you everyone who read this post. I honestly never imagined more than 10 people would read it. I debated adding this part, but I think it's ultimately worth saying. This whole ordeal of the last 6 months has been very difficult. I know I didn't say a lot in my post, but I promise you we tried a lot of things to make this work. I really did my best to let the older cat know that I was okay with him and didn't want to harm him. For example, he slept in our bed even after the second attack. He was only kicked out of bed after he A. wouldn't stop biting my leg while we were sleeping, and B. starting spending a lot of time close to my face, practically nose to nose, while I was sleeping. My fiancée and I both saw this happen, either her waking up and seeing it or me waking up with him in my face, on multiple occasions. Even after he'd sent me to the hospital twice, I would have let him sleep with us, because I knew how important he was to my fiancée. Even after he bit me in the night several times a week, I wouldn't have asked to kick him out. I think that's already me meeting the cat more than halfway. I don't think I was out of line being incredibly uncomfortable with the cat in bed with us once he started watching me in my sleep. If I rolled over wrong, or if I reached across to my fiancé, what if he freaked out? What if he attacked my face? I'm sure some of you read the preceding paragraph and still found a way to assume I'm a monster. That was a bit rambling, but the point is this. There were 1.3k comments on this post and honestly, most of them, even the ones criticizing us, felt helpful and coming from a good place. A small percentage of comments said stuff like you're obviously an abuser and your fiancé should pick a cat over you every day of the week. When you say stuff like that, it is incredibly hurtful, especially since you don't know really anything about the situation. I really hope no one here finds themselves in the situation I was in. If you were the type to assuming I was tormenting that cat and this does happen to you, please look back and see that maybe you don't know everything. Please look back, think about how much your words can hurt, see that maybe you don't know everything. Please understand that there's a person behind each and every post here.